Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to give you my initial thoughts about these two saddles right here, the Cruzr XC and the Latitude Method from Latitude Outdoors. Now these are not my saddles. I had a buddy that bought two saddles trying to figure out which one he wanted, and I said, hey, before you get rid of one of them, let me borrow both of them and let me try to sit in them, see what I think of them, and then do a review on that. And so that's what I'm going to do here today, and we're going to get right into that review right now. So on a note that's probably not a whether you should buy it or not buy it note, I do want to point out when you get the Cruzr XC, it comes in the standard 2-day priority shipping box, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you get the Latitude Method, it comes in this guy right here. So the packaging, very well done. Now we all get it that essentially if companies have a box that looks as good as this, that we are paying for it when we buy the saddle. But I kind of like this kind of stuff. It reminds me of Tethered's marketing, and so that's good. And plus, both of these saddles are made right here in the United States of America, both the Cruzr and the Latitude. Now right out of the packaging, you're going to notice that these are two completely different saddles. This is a single construction or single panel, whereas the Method is a dual construction. It comes with two panels like so. And so two different designs, but I want to talk to you a little bit about the design of the Cruzr. The Cruzr saddle, that's what you're going to get. Now you can get this gray mesh, you can get that in a black also, if you'd rather have the black versus the gray. And this is the size 2 right here. Now this saddle starts at $220, but that is for the bridge that is not adjustable. So if you want to do this adjustable bridge, then you're going to upgrade, and then the price goes up to $255. So that is something to think about. Also included in this Cruzr, or the design behind this Cruzr, is essentially it's a typical shaped saddle, but much like the Kestrel Flex, exactly like that Kestrel Flex, it has that pleated design. So they call it their expansion chambers, and so when you're sitting or you're walking, you can have these pleats, you can have them tucked up in, as I had it, like that. But then after a long sit, you can expand that to come down around your butt more and your legs. And so if anybody has been in the industry for any length of time, you know that Kestrel, the Arrow Hunter, their Kestrel Flex is probably their top selling saddle. And that was what one of their main selling points were. And when people that own the Kestrel Flex, they said it was extremely comfortable. And the same is true with this Cruzr. It's the same comfort, the same expansion. And so in that, a lot of people are raving about how comfortable this Cruzr is as well. So that has a lot going for it in that regards. Okay, so jumping back and forth here, the Latitude Outdoors, the Method, you'll notice this guy comes in right at the $269 range right off the bat, but that includes their adjustable bridge. I'll talk a little bit about the bridge systems here in just a moment. And you can see the design when it comes, being a 2-panel thing, that's pretty slick, as they have these plastic clips right here, okay, and the molly webbing there. And so essentially the one panel right there, this panel goes over top and it connects right here like so. Hopefully I'm getting that on the camera good enough for you guys. So really, as you're walking, everything is at that profile right there. But essentially, if I hold it up, the panels together, you have that same design as what the Cruzr XC had. And so even though it's 2 panels, if you wanted to accomplish the same thing that you did with the Cruzr, then you could just simply pull these panels apart from each other, and it's doing the same thing by changing where the pressure is on your legs, your butt, and all of that. So I'll talk a little bit more about this design. This is the first time I've ever sat and played around with a 2-panel construction design, and to be honest with you, I like it, and I like it a lot. There's a lot that you can do. There's a lot of adjustments. There's infinity adjustments, so to speak. So we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But that is essentially the overall design of the Latitude Method right there. So another feature that both of these saddles have are leg straps. The Cruzr XC, you'll see here, the leg straps are sewn right into the bottom, and they also have the buckle, like so. And so a lot of guys, or some guys I should say, they definitely like having those leg buckles, and they like having leg straps. The Method also has leg straps, but they do it as an option. So right here is the optional tab, and then in the box that you get, you'll get your leg straps right here. And so you just clip it on, and then your leg straps function more so like an H2 saddle or a tethered saddle with these clips, not load bearing, but just kind of to hold your saddle in place. And then for me personally, I like this as an option because I don't use leg straps that often, if I ever do, and I like the option of being able to take it on and off. And then if I have to resell this and somebody wants leg straps, they have that option. Whereas if I was going to buy the Cruzr and this was going to be my saddle, I'd probably just cut the leg straps off and not use them at all. And so that's something that I noticed. I really do like this option of optional leg straps. One thing that is definitely worth talking about and pointing out is the buckle systems on these two saddles. The top buckle right here is for the Cruzr, the bottom is for the Method. Now this Cruzr has a Raptor style buckle system. The only thing is, and so it works just like what we have seen on other saddles, in and out, works good. Also, both of them have the feature that where you can just pull to tighten or loosen. Both of them do that, so both of them have great ability of adjustment. But as you notice here on this, there is no manufacturer name. Basically you print whatever you want on that. And so if you followed the forums at all and stuff like that, a lot of guys are disappointed the fact that there is no manufacturer. And so for them putting their safety and their life in the hands of a buckle that's not tested, or you can't do any research on, it's made them uneasy. So they went and they bought the $20 or $25 upgraded buckle for that. So that's something to consider as well. Now the buckle on the Method, you'll see it's a completely different style. This one is the Cobra Pro, and it is load bearing on this. It's tested, it has all that information on the website. And then this is kind of like a backup where you can lock your carabiner in it for a fail safe. And there you go. The one thing about this buckle though is it is like super thick. Let me compare it or show you what I mean by like a regular Raptor style buckle. It's like a 1/2 inch thick. Nonetheless, it doesn't, I don't think it weighs anymore or anything like that, but it was just something when I first saw it, I was like, man, that thing's a monster. But both of them work well doing that, and both of them you can adjust very, very easily. So one thing that's worth pointing out, like for me, if I'm going to buy a new saddle, there's two things that it definitely must have, and that is an adjustable bridge, whether it's a webbing bridge, an Amsteel bridge, or as the Method has a bridge made from Oplux. It has to have that, and then it also has to have the ability to adjust the pressure settings along your hip loops right here. And essentially this year when Tethered brought out the Phantom, they were the first ones to address that issue. And so they had comfort channels, which they sewed marbles along the hip loops, and so you could take your bridge and you could put them at different settings and it would hold your bridge in place. Not too long after, Heath from H2, he was working on the Triad bridge, and the Triad bridge, for any saddle that did not have comfort settings, the Triad bridge was the next answer, because he utilized a Prusik loop along the hip loops. And so what that does is, if I put this at the top and I pull pressure on it, it's going to lock, the Prusik knot's going to lock on the hip. And so he brought out the Triad bridge, which was adjustable in the length of the bridge, but it was also adjustable around the hip. And so I say all that to say this, that a lot of saddle companies have followed suit, and both the Method and the Cruzr, that is exactly what they're doing. They're utilizing the Prusik loop on their hip loops here. And so both of them have the ability to change the pressure setting, which is a key for comfort. And also both of them have adjustable bridges. Now Cruzr's bridge is more essentially like the Attila bridge off of Tethered. It's girth hitch down here on that Prusik, but then it can be adjusted here. It has a full length bury. It's AM steel. A lot of guys love this AM steel, and so this bridge system is really good. Really good as far as adjusting the length of it. And so the Method saddle, theirs is more like the Triad bridge from H2. So essentially they have a long piece of sterling oplux. This is the 8mm, and then they have the Prusik loops that go around the hip loop here, but then they also attach the Prusik loop, or this continuous loop in the form of a Prusik knot, to the bridge. And so you can adjust this bridge from both angles, whereas the Cruzr XC, because it's girth hitched here, you only have the adjustment from one angle. It still does the same exact thing. The only difference I really noticed is that on my H2 or my Triad bridge, and which will be the same as this Method, is by the time you pull this tight around your waist, you got a lot longer tag end than if you just pull both of these ends into the middle. So both of these have the ability to adjust pressure settings on your hip loop and adjustable bridges. Now the unique thing is I really like how the Latitude Outdoors, they're utilizing the sterling oplux. The sterling oplux is kind of the going to be the go-to rope. A lot of guys love it. It's so light, it's so thin. It's an 8mm, and so I like how they're utilizing this. One thing I failed to mention is the Method also comes with a metaless option, or basically they eliminate the buckle and your waistband now becomes sterling oplux, and so that's something that they offer as well. I like how they're utilizing that. Again, both of them are fully adjustable. Now the one thing I really like, and I noticed when I sat in both of these saddles, the Cruzr XC has a 34-inch bridge, which is on the big side. Just think about the Mantis when it came out. It had a 24-inch bridge. The Triad bridge is more around the 30-inch. So this had a 34-inch bridge, and then the Latitude Method, this had a 35-inch bridge. And I really like that. I like the longer bridge. I like having the option of shortening it or lengthening it. And so kudos to both of them on the bridge length. I really like both of them in that regards. While we're at it, both of these, the lineman's loops, they're big, they're easy to access. You can feel a difference. The same with the hip loops and the lineman's loops on these. The Cruzr, the XC, theirs is a lot more rigid, whereas these ones are not. You can kind of squish this, push it with your finger. To me, it's not. It doesn't make that much of a difference. Matter of fact, I think that the Prusik knot on the softer thing seems to slide or break off easier than the harder stuff. But again, both of them do a great job utilizing their hip loops and their lineman's belt loops. Now, one thing on the Latitude, more so than the Cruzr, that I noticed is, back to the hip loops, they have what, I don't know, about 5 inches where you can adjust the pressure. The same was with the H2 saddle. I don't know why they wouldn't just go ahead and extend that hip loop another 3 inches on each side. That would only give you extra adjustments, and it really wouldn't take that much. I did notice that. So, but I sat in this and I've been hanging in it and I've been playing around and toying with it. You still have the ability to adjust it, and it does transfer or change the pressure setting. So it's not like it doesn't work. I just don't know why some of them don't extend that down at least another inch or 2 inches to give you even more adjustment. So one thing that I have received questions on many times, and I've been asked, especially with some of the older reviews that I've done, and I don't see much talk about, is walking in these saddles. The thing I noticed right away when I put on this Method saddle is, because of the profile, I don't know if there's many gym heads, but it almost feels like I'm putting on a waist belt at the gym. That's about it. It feels like it's barely there. Whereas when I put on the Cruzr and I buckle the leg straps, it takes all of this folded in material right there. It takes that and it scrunches it up in the backside. It kind of reminded me of my kids running around with their diapers that were swaying in the back, all that mess back there. And so when you put the leg straps on and you have them tight, it kind of bunches up in the backside. And this one rides, actually it rides at the top portion of my backside here. And so it was barely detectable. If I was going to walk with the Cruzr, I would lengthen the leg straps really long, and I'll just let that hang, or I'll just let the leg straps hang. I'm not saying that's a make it or break it or a deal breaker by no means, but I get asked that question a lot or via private messages or things like that. And so that's just a note. Both of them are super quiet, though when you walk, obviously the mesh material is super quiet, and the mesh material on here, so quietness, it's not even a factor, or loud, being loud is not a factor for either of these. This one's more comfortable, but again, if I was to get this one, I would walk with the leg straps loosened or just not even on at all. Both of these saddles, they have dual rows of molly webbing there. Of course, the top one here is really loose, the bottom one not so. And on here, each panel has the webbing. The one thing unique here is these clips that come with the Method. When you walk, you clip the one panel to the next panel by that clip, but when you get to the tree, if you have sticks, you can just put the loops that are on your sticks and go ahead and hang them from there. And so you already have that as an option. Now, one thing both me and my buddy noticed is that these clips come off rather easily on the Method. And so his thoughts is that he's just going to take a bead of weld or a bead of adhesive on this backside right here, and he's gonna glue that stuff together so it doesn't come off as easy. But again, both of them have that option for the molly webbing there. So I wanted to jump in the saddle. I've already spent some time in the saddles, both of them, messing around, playing around with them. I'm a size 35 to 36, and one thing I'm pointing out here is that the sizing on the Cruzr saddle, the sizing is sized appropriately, proportionately, and so you can get several sizes of them. And for me, this is the number 2, and I want to lean in it, but to show you as far as comfort how far the loops stick out past my pelvic. You can see that right here, that this would be the pelvic, my pelvic bone there, or my hip, and the hip loops come at least 4 inches out past that. The reason I mention that is because that aids in a lot of comfort issues in saddles. Guys that have hip pinch, if you look, generally it's because your hip loops are closer to the front of your pelvic bone here, or your hips. And so if your hip loops come out past that, then that only aids in the comfort. So on this side, let me just swing around. On this side, it's the same thing, but again, you have this Prusik loop that then is tied onto the Amstel bridge, so that even gives you a longer length, which aids in the comfort. So I'm pointing out and sitting in it and playing around with it. The sizing seems to be very appropriate on the Cruzr. It fits well, even with the pleats in where it's not pulled down. To be honest, that's where I would probably hunt the majority of the time with, because it's comfortable. If I was needing to change, I would slide the Prusik loop down on the hip, just like so, all the way down to the bottom, and immediately that pulls, and now I can feel it here. And so the fact that I could spread this out is just even extra. Now, I was sitting for a while yesterday, and when I pull that down, it's on my waist now, and when I pull that down, it's almost coming to the back. You can't really see it there, I got zoomed in, but it's almost down to the back of my knees. And so if I was to sit in a tree stand like that, it's actually uncomfortable, because there's a lot of weight right in the back of my thighs as I sit in the weight settles in, the pressure comes up my thighs. It's actually uncomfortable like that. To me, it's more comfortable to have the pleats up and just to adjust the pressure on your hip loops here. Now where this does shine at is if I want to sit down, and I'll have to, let me see if I can just raise my bridge. If I want to sit down and I pull this all the way down and I sit into the tree, it honestly feels like I'm laying in a hammock. And so that ability, that option is a plus. That's a great thing for this. You got that maneuverability. You got the expansion chambers that you can adjust and pull down. But overall, even in the static position, it is a super comfortable saddle. So here I have the Method on. I just wanted to give you a visual. You turn around, you can see the profile here. And again, I'm probably that 35 inch waist, depending on if it's a holiday or not, and I'm eating too much. But medium build. Again, it doesn't even feel like there's much there at all, not at all. And so super easy to walk in on. I really like this bridge that comes at 35 inches. Let me hook up in here. So right now I'm able to hook up and I'm able to lean, and as is, without even moving the panels, this has a pretty good comfort level right now. And even if I was to keep the panels attached and I was just to slide them up and down, you could hunt with that. You could hunt out of it just like that. And so super comfortable. I'm really interested in messing around with these two panel designs more. I know there's the Recon out there. I know Tethered via Eberhardt's bringing out the ESS, the Eberhardt Signature Series. So there's some two panel designs out there. One thing I did notice right away is that because of this design, the two panel design, when I unhook these, even just pull them down, there is absolutely zero hip pinch at all, almost in most of the places that I put this saddle. Now the one thing I will say here is, as I compared with the Cruzr, how far the hip loops came out, you can see that the hip loops only come about 3 inches out past the front of my pelvic bone there, my hip. But the difference on this is because each hip loop now has a Prusik loop that attaches to the Oplux bridge, that extends it out a couple more inches. But in all honesty, if you were a bigger guy, if you were a 38, 39, 40, I couldn't imagine how this particular saddle right here, one size fits all, would be comfortable. The same is with the Phantom. In my opinion, there's no such thing as a one size fits all, because you're either going to be at the bottom of the spectrum, at the top of the spectrum, and so it benefits the middle guy. But I would really like to see another next size up sizing option come from Latitude Outdoors. But for me, for my build, it's super comfortable. And again, that has comfort channels, the Cruzr XC. This, the same thing. I can pull that down as far as I want. I can sit down, I can put it underneath my knees, and I can have the same ability when I'm down. I can pull this one up all the way up to my back if I wanted to. So the thing that intrigues me about this two panel design, and I've seen some people that don't like it because they say the fidget factor is there, but to me that gives you unlimited range of motion, that gives you unlimited adjustments. And so if you're in light season with light pants, light clothes, you can adjust. But if you're wearing bibs and heavy clothes, now you can adjust even better. So I see a benefit with being able to adjust. That doesn't take away from the great comfort level of any other saddle. All I'm saying is I like the ability to be able to just micro adjust wherever I would like it to be at. So again, I feel no discomfort. I was playing around with it probably about a half an hour, even last night, and even some more this morning. And if you pull this bottom panel section down and you pull this one up, it's almost like it's not even touching. So you also have the options. If I was to then slide this Cruzr loop up on my hips, it now completely changes the way it feels. I got all my pressure here and barely any pressure down here. And so I like how the hip loops work in conjunction with each panel. And when you put the panels where you want, then you can even fine tune that adjustment on your hip loop. Again, both saddles are great saddles. Both saddles are extremely comfortable. A few pros, a few cons on both saddles. This is just my initial take. I've been playing around with them now since about 9:30 this morning. It's going on 11:30. I played around with them for about a half an hour yesterday, messing around. But both saddles are more than comfortable. Both saddles, you can hunt out of them, no doubt, and be super comfortable. This method definitely has more adjustment abilities. Some may like that, some may not. Again, I have found that saddles are much like shoes. Some need a wide width, some need narrow, all that stuff. There is no such thing as a one size or one saddle style fits all. So if there's any questions you might have, if you're looking at either one of these saddles, hey, shoot me a message on YouTube, shoot me a message at Aaron Wright Outdoors on Instagram, and I'd be more than happy to see if I can help you answer any of the questions. Hey, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, like and subscribe, and good luck to you this hunting season.